Hey guys, what's up? You can see I have a cat trying to climb into my lap. Ugh. And he's got his claws out and everything. Say hi, Dallas. Hello. So anyway, I was watching a video on YouTube earlier today and it was talking about how Trump just signed I guess it was a an executive order or something saying that weed or marijuana or cannabis or whatever you want to call it is no longer a Schedule 1 drug, it's a Schedule 3 drug, I guess. And I was wondering, like, that's progress, I guess, if you're like a pro weed person. But I was wondering why. I mean, it's not like legal yet, like recreationally, and it's safe, and it makes people feel good. So, like, why not just make it legal? You can hear the chihuahua over there throwing a fit. Hey, Brown, can you be good, please? Thank you. Um, so I was wondering, like, if you are an anti-weed person or like anti-marijuana, why? Like, Brown, why is it that you're against it? Because I like I've known a lot of people that smoked or whatever, and I've smoked and I've taken the edibles. I have PTSD and major depressive disorder, so it kind of helped me feel better. Like, I struggle with a lot of things, but like I've developed kind of a drinking problem lately. And usually when I was taking edibles at the end of the day, like not before I went to work or anything, like I wouldn't drive, high or anything, but when I would get home, I would take like an edible and I would feel a lot better. It's kind of like a mild I kind of got the ones that kind of give you like a little bit of a body high. Like if you don't do drugs, you probably don't know what I'm talking about, but there's different kinds of like feelings that you get from different drugs. Like I used to huff air duster, you know, for fun. And that's like a completely different feeling than like smoking a ton of weed or taking ecstasy or whatever. And so like it what I would do is I would take an edible once I got home. Then I would go from work or whatever. I would go walk the dogs, and it would kind of sneak up on me. Like edibles are kind of more gentle. It seems like they're not like as abrupt as like smoking weed, because like when you smoke weed, it kind of it doesn't like necessarily hit you all at once, but it's like faster, and you'll be sitting around or whatever, and then you'll realize, oh crap, I'm high. But like with an edible, it's like a slower, gentler transition into it, or at least like that's what it feels like to me. Like I guess I should caveat that with like that's what it felt like to me with the specific edibles I was taking. And like, to be honest, I like people say, like, there's a few arguments that I've heard, right? One of them is that weed makes people lazy, right? But I don't really think that's true, because like I would get high sometimes and then like find myself doing stuff around the house, um or like working in the yard or whatever, and I would zone out and I would get into a project, and I would be working on a project and I would be feeling good. I would have like kind of like a body euphoria going on, and I wouldn't be having like all this PTSD stuff going on because I was feeling good, and I was getting stuff done. Now, there were other times where I felt really, really good. Like I felt so good that I didn't feel like doing anything. I would just kind of sit around and, you know, hang out and play on my phone. But like, I do that all the time sober too, though, you know? So I don't feel like the like it makes people lazy argument really has any kind of validity, really. I mean, I guess with some people it could like, I mean, like, I guess what I'm saying it's like the the substance itself isn't keeping people from doing things. You know what I mean? I don't even think it's like discouraging people from doing things. I think that it just feels good, and so people feel like relaxing. And even if it was like, even if it did make people lazy, is that so bad? Like, why are people not allowed to be lazy? Like, if you're a politician and you stumble upon this video, like, no matter what, level of politics you're in, like maybe you're like a mayor or you're just like, you work in a courthouse or whatever, or wherever politicians work, any kind of person that's involved in the policy making um, process, right? If you stumble on this video, what is your take on this? I'm really, really curious. I'm not being like tricky or anything. Like, I'm curious. I want to know what it is that you think about this, because I mean, specifically, like what your stance on marijuana is and why that is your stance. Because I feel like a lot of what I'm hearing in opposition to marijuana is kind of just people being Karens. Like, it really seems to me like, is it really any of your business if somebody else is lazy? You know what I mean? It kind of reminds me of like I used to be a supervisor at this place. Like, I was a supervisor a couple of times, but specifically at this place, right? Well, not really specifically at this place, at both places. Like, there would always be somebody that was worried about how much work other people were doing. You know what I mean? There was always like the guy that was like, you know, actually that's not my job, and that's not my job, and that's not my job. My job is to do this. And there was always the guy that's like, worried about what other people are doing, and like, it's not fair that I'm working harder than this person over here or whatever. And that's kind of what it seems like to me, is a lot of people just don't want other people to be able to be lazy, because it's like not fair to them or something, because they have to work. And that's always kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because it like, isn't it kind of nosy? Like, is it your business what other people are doing at all? Like, unless you are in management, like, how is it your business what Susie or whoever is doing? Like, you're not running the company. Like, like, there was this, people would say, like, usually not when I was supervising, but like when other people were supervising, people would get upset when they had to go back and do something again, or when they had to go back and change something that they did before. They would say like, well, this is double working. They would call it double working, because they're having to do the same thing twice. And I always thought like, but like, you're here on a shift to work. Like, you don't assume that you're going to be working the whole time you're here. Like, does it matter what you're doing? Like from your perspective, does it matter really what you're doing? And like I completely understand that there is like hard work that is like, taxing on your body, that like is kind of a workout, that is maybe kind of fast paced, and you don't really want to do that for 8 hours a day, or even really an hour. You don't work out, for hours and hours. That's not healthy. It's not good for like your muscles or your whatever. I mean, I guess it can be healthy in small doses, but like even like bodybuilders builders and stuff, they take breaks. Even athletes, like they're not. I don't know. I mean, I'm not like an athlete, so like maybe if you're like in the Olympics or whatever, or you're like a professional football player or something, maybe you do work out 8 hours a day. I don't know. But like for the average person, I wouldn't assume that they wanted to do that 8 hours a day. You know what I mean? I've worked jobs like that where it was literally like working out 8 hours a day in the heat. Sometimes it was awful, but I was never like, why isn't this guy doing more? Because like it's not my business. Like he doesn't have to do what I'm having to do. Good for him. And I just like, so like if your argument is that it makes people lazy, then I guess my next question is like, you so I'm trying to figure out how to word this, because I'm not trying to be any kind of way about it. I'm really just curious. What is it that makes that your business? I guess is what I'm asking. And you could say, I guess, like if you are a policymaker of some sort watching this video, I guess you could say that like it's kind of your job to be in other people's business, because in a way, like to a degree, because you're making the rules, like you're deciding which rules make sense for society. And like I get that, but like, you know what I mean? Like it feels like it's kind of overstepping maybe. I don't know, because like we have things that are like actually dangerous and actually bad for you. Like a lot of people make the argument that like alcohol is just objectively worse for you than cannabis or marijuana or whatever you want to call it. And like, to be completely real with you right now, I've been drinking a lot lately because I've been really stressed out, and I have PTSD on top of that, so I'm even more stressed out. And alcohol is kind of how I've been like self-soothing, because I guess I didn't grow up with like a good way to self-soothe really. But if I could take edibles instead, then I would be really much better off health wise and sleep wise and like all of that. And I would feel a lot better, and I wouldn't be putting my heart through so much strain with all this alcohol and liver and, all the things that are affected by alcohol. Um, and the reason that I'm not taking edibles instead of alcohol right now is because I'm kind of in the process of looking for a job, and I live in Tennessee, so I'm kind of in the Bible Belt. And it's very conservative around here, and a lot of the people around here that uh, run these businesses don't want to be associated weed, I guess they don't want to have uh, people in the workplace that do drugs, you know, which is ridiculous, you know, because like like I think most people have the good sense not to be high at work, you know. Now, to be real, like I know a lot of people that do get high at work or get high before they go to work. And if I'm being completely real, like completely honest with you, it usually doesn't affect their work safety or their work ethic or their anything really, hardly at all. In fact, one of the best forklift guys, in fact, I think probably the best forklift guy that I've ever worked with was on crack, literally crack, probably the whole time. And like other people were straight up running into the machines with the forklift, and he was never unsafe. He never ran into anything. I went and took the forklift test with him because he hadn't even taken the forklift test yet. It was kind of a mess at that job. I had been, you know, driving the forklift without having taken the test first. And then they made me stop for some reason. I never found out why until I was able to take the test. And then I took the test. But like the other people that were driving the forklift hadn't taken the test yet either. So I don't know what their deal was. They were just picking on me, I guess. I don't know. But I spent a long time not being able to drive the forklift. Not because I was bad at it, I was good at it, but because, you know, whatever, company politics or whatever. So I went and took the forklift test with this guy, and he was so high that he could not pass the test. He passed like one question. He got like one answer right, and I was like sitting beside him, like, bro, like you know this stuff, you know. He was so high though. Like I was like trying to help him, but but yeah, I'm just really curious to know like what is up. Like is it that like you maybe have like a different argument, like maybe you knew somebody that smoked a lot of marijuana and it did something to them, or because like I know that I had a friend that smoked ever since he was like maybe 12, you know, like 14 or something. Like it was like really, he had been smoking well before his brain had developed fully. And and I don't think anybody in our group of people, you know, I don't think anybody really realized how bad that was for him, but I really don't think that it's good for people to smoke weed before their brain is finished developing. I think it can be really harmful. Like my friend, he's fine. Like we were good friends for like a long time. We haven't talked in a while, but we were like best friends, and he's fine. He's just um I just feel like he would have been better off if he hadn't smoked so much so young, you know. But I'm not talking shit or anything. He's a cool dude. But so like I'm not one of those people that's going to say that there's like no negative side effects to cannabis or marijuana or whatever. Like of course everything has like good and bad about it. And even if I was going to say that like it's a completely good thing, even too much of a good thing is still a bad thing, you know. So like I think I'm being reasonable, but I want to hear what other people have to say about this. You know, like I'm being genuine right now. Like I'm really curious to know if you are anti-weed, like why? And if I mean I think I've kind of heard most of the pro weed arguments, so I'm not like really that interested in those. But I am interested in like the anti weed arguments because I don't really understand them so much. Like I understand the pro weed arguments because like I've benefited from it. I think that it's helped me through some times, you know. and even like when things were good, it just kind of made things better. I felt better. My brain turned off for a bit, not turned off, but like got quieter. You do forget things when you're high on weed, which is but I mean, I forget things sober, so I don't see how that's like that big of a negative. Like, I guess it's a trade off a little bit. Like, you might forget to, do something, or you might lose your keys or something, but like, you do that half the time sober anyway. And you kind of get used to it, if you do it enough. Um, and I think that it could really help people, like, especially people like me who have like, PTSD or something like that. I'm not like, I don't remember. I'm sure that I've heard of like research and stuff with about like weed, and how it interacts with different kinds of like disabilities and things, but I don't remember any of the like statistics or findings or anything, or like research. So I don't know. I can't even remember off of the top of my head what other arguments there are against weed besides it just makes people lazy. I guess you could say that it dumbs people's down cognitive function down a little bit, but I don't think it does really all that much. Because like I've had a lot of like stoner friends, and they were never dumb. Like they would forget stuff, and they would start thinking that everything was funny, but like, isn't that kind of a good thing? Like feeling good and stuff. Like I don't see how that's a negative. Like laughter is good. you know. I guess you could say that it like could make work more dangerous, and like I could see if you were high at work and you were working like a job where you needed to be very, very alert, like I could see something bad happening then. But like there are certain prescriptions and medications and stuff that can do that to you too. So, and I mean like pretty much to the same degree. So, I mean, I don't really see how that's an argument either. Um, I mean, against cannabis or marijuana as a whole, I don't see how that's. So anyway, I'm just curious. I don't see why we haven't legalized it recreationally, um, nationwide yet, unless it's just people being Karens and being all up in other people's business and stuff, and like looking down on people that take certain substances because of like, I don't know, cultural stuff and like cultural propaganda. I mean, like cultural customs, I guess. Like a lot of people, I guess, are used to living in a society where marijuana is um, outlawed. But like, was there ever really a good reason to have it outlawed? Like I kind of understand prohibition of alcohol, but that for one, that did not go well when we tried it, and for two, it's just alcohol. Like, have a beer, I don't know. Um, Let me know what you think about it, even if you're not like uh, anti weed, or even if you're not like a policymaker of any kind or whatever. I mean, I would like to hear from anybody that runs into this video. Like, if you're in the on the police force, or if you're in law at all, or if you uh, smoke weed, or if you don't smoke weed, or if you like the edibles, or if you don't, or if you think that no one should be interacting with cannabis or marijuana or whatever, I want to hear everybody's opinion, because I'm really interested to know more about what makes this so controversial, because I've never understood why it's so controversial. Um, anyway, like and subscribe if you like the video, and ring the bell, I guess, if you want to see more of my videos. I've made a bunch of them so far. I don't have a lot of subscribers yet, but the more subscribers I get, the better, you know. If I could get monetized at any point, that would really help me a lot. And y'all have a good one, and I will see you guys later. Bye.